Today, I'm waiting for the encore. My guests are In the Whale. Nate Valdez and Eric Riley make up this two-man punk rock juggernaut from Colorado. These two have been road dogging it for nearly a decade. In that time, they have developed a cult following and played some of the coolest venues in the country. They also happen to be two very down-to-earth and funny dudes. So please enjoy my talk with Eric and Nate of In the Whale.
All right, joining us today, we got Nate Valdez and Eric Riley, In the Whale, coming from, I'm assuming, Greeley, is that correct?
Denver.
Cool. So I always have been starting these out with just kind of getting the wrap on what you guys have been up to since mid-March, since the lockdown started. You guys, from everything I've seen over the years, are definitely road dogs. So I'm sure this has affected you guys as much as anybody. But why don't you guys just kind of tell us what you guys were gearing up towards for the spring and summer and how it all got taken out from under you, and then what you guys have been up to since then.
I didn't realize this was such a depressing podcast. All right, here we go.
Yeah. We were literally coming off of a 10 years tour.
Yeah, I toured the band 10 years, yeah.
And then we had landed and did a show in LA at the beginning of this year, sold out show with Poison the Well. It was like the 20-year anniversary, just came back, and we were going into 606 Studio, which is Dave Grohl's studio. Recorded a record. We're like, okay, we got all this stuff going. The record label's like, all right, you have tickets. We're going to Australia.
Yeah, we were just coming off tour, and we were taking a little break to gear up for the tour this summer. And we're going to do Australia New Year's Eve.
Right.
We had a support tour with a pretty big mid-level band lined up, and then we're talking about doing another support tour with 10 Years again.
Right,
in the summer.
So well.
And then we had two big festivals we were going to play in the summer as well. So we're going to just release that record right in the middle of all that.
And just kind of like bombshell it out.
See what happens, and see if we can get us tour going for the fall. And then, cap it off with a New Year's Eve in Australia with the folks from our label.
And that didn't happen. Yeah. None of this is happening.
So the New Year's was going to be this coming New Year's or last year's New Year's?
This year's New Year's.
Okay. Oh, man. So you guys got rocked pretty good.
It's a U.S. passport's basically a paperweight at this point.
Yeah. We blew. Wow. I mean, financially, it's a lot of money that we had like potential on the books and things that were like, it would have made our year pretty cush.
Yeah, would have been great.
Yeah,
would have been probably the best year of our career.
Sure.
Oh man, I'm so sorry to hear that. I know you guys will bounce back from it, but yeah, I had a feeling. I think I saw must have been posts from you guys in the Dave Grohl studio. But you did wrap out that recording, right? You finished that up?
Yeah, it's done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then did you put it out yet, or are you holding off on it?
We just released one single so far, and then the next one is going to be coming out actually pretty soon. I don't even know if we have a date yet.
In about a month.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
So in November sometime.
Where in Australia were you guys going to play?
I'm not sure, actually.
I think it's just the East Coast. Yeah. It was like 5 or so shows is what they were thinking about. It wasn't going to be long, but our label's from there. It's just going to be showcase shows, which is cool. And at New Year's with a place that loves to drink. So, of course, this is a home run.
Have you guys been out there before?
No.
Mm-mm. It was going to be the first time. There's so many things that just got
fucked.
Derailed. Just on. Yeah.
Well, I don't mean to smile, but you guys are smiling, so I guess it's just reflecting on you.
I mean, we're pretty good spirits right now. I think the thing that's really difficult is, like you said earlier, is being a road dogs and doing this for so long. Yeah. I still feel like in my heart and in my being that there's some place I need to be. Like I feel like somewhat uneasy.
Yeah, I think just we work so fucking hard to get these opportunities. Like these things weren't just dropped in our lap.
Right.
Very fucking hard. Cultivating relationships and
sacrificed a lot.
Playing our fucking asses off in the studio and like just all this stuff coming together, to have an opportunity that we worked so hard for just be kind of just poof for really no reason whatsoever, just be taken away. It's kind of like,
well, it's something we can't even control. It's something that's bigger than I mean, it's bigger than a lot of things, but
it's not like someone fucked us over or someone,
right.
we did this or that to lose it. It's just like, nope. It just, God said,
no,
screw you.
right.
Have you guys been able to find any silver lining with all that? Because I mean, that's a lot of bummer for sure. But
a house, I mean, that's pretty cool. Like, there's more time I think I've personally had to like get healthier and like more sober-minded, clear on a lot of things, maybe even be more creative in some ways because we're not going. But I mean, that's probably the main positive for me. Everything else sucks. Work sucks. I don't want to do work. I've lived my whole life sacrificing everything so I didn't have to, and I would play music instead. And now I'm just like everyone else. It's like weird.
so you guys doing day jobs then for the time being?
Yeah.
I've done some sporadic stuff and now I'm getting ready to very soon be locked into the full blown thing here. But so we can kind of roundabout kind of get back to that, but let's go back a little bit and I'm always interested in the root structure of musicians that I know because I've heavily connected to my own and I'd like to hear about other people's. So I guess we can do this one at a time, or maybe you guys met really early on and it's a very similar, growth story, but why don't you guys kind of tell me where you guys come from respectively in terms of early years and what your early, music influences were and where you started playing music as well.
I grew up in South Texas, in a town that was 85% Mexican population, and then I believe 12% white, and then 3% other. So I got to be in that other category. Grew up sort of just loving heavy metal and really got into right around the new metal thing started happening. Was right when I was like 13 or so. So I really sort of dove into that quite a bit, like Korn, Limp Bizkit,
Right.
Deftones, etc. And I was playing in the school band, that kind of thing in high school, and then started playing in bands, playing in church, that kind of thing. And then
was it always drums for you, Eric?
Yeah, it was always drums. Yeah.
Singing though too as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Screaming and
I sang in a band in high school, and that kind of thing. Then we moved to Colorado right before my senior year of high school. Just kept doing the band thing, and then went to UNC up in Northern Colorado, University of Northern Colorado, not North Carolina. And that's where I met Nate, was playing in bands up there in Greeley. That's a pretty small scene, so we played together a bunch.
Yeah, we cross-pollinated quite a bit. It was kind of like there was like only really 6 or 7 bands maybe that were from the area.
Yeah.
So you were like going to college. It was kind of like that college bandy thing.
And then like 3 bars that would allow music.
Right. So whenever there was a show going on, everyone went to that show. Yeah. It's like I saw Eric every single day, like of the week. I grew up in Los Angeles, Colorado, in a small farm town. I think it has, when I was going to high school, it was 3,000 people as the population. And I graduated with 23 kids. All of the kids were really into country and like Skinner and like bands that are like classic rock-ish. And I was not really feeling that. There was a few friends that I had that were kind of into the punk rock and roll and stuff of that nature, like Dead Kennedys or the Minutemen or like Fugazi. And so they would like, I just kind of vicariously heard things through them. Early on, I was spellbound by the Smashing Pumpkins. Like there was stuff about them that I'm like, there's no better band. Whatever,
In many ways,
and
it's true.
In many ways, yeah, but also,
in many ways, it's not true.
Meeting Billy Corgan, and I'm like, whatever. So went to college, got out of my small town as fast as I could, and just kind of started emulating the things and the music that I was into, which was kind of the post-hardcore or the
Grunge.
Grunge was really big for me, like Mudhoney. I don't know if you can see, I have a Mudhoney poster in the background here.
Mm-hmm.
Local H on here. Let's see, whatever. But that's kind of the things that I was into, and like Eric said, we were just like always seeing each other.
Yeah, we were both in different bands, and we sort of learned that we were both like the hardest working members of our respective bands, you know?
Right.
And they were both sort of like really fucking serious kind of bands. You know when you watch a band and you're like,
you're trying too hard.
Yeah, you're like, I know you rehearse these moves, and I know all this stuff is completely fucking fabricated. You know, like we had our own lights and like all this stuff. You know,
moves. I was in his band for this long,
for a couple months,
because they lost a bass player, and I'm like, I can play bass.
Yeah,
I guess.
But yeah, it was just like so not fun, and everyone kind of like, we didn't have a lot of fans because everyone kind of knew it. Like, this is some fake shit.
Right. Same with my
bands.
It's so disingenuous. And
same with mine. Like we had big lights and everything, and like the same thing, but it was like, man, no one. Musicians are kind of like this weird breed of human being where they're trying so hard, and they're willing to do whatever they need to survive, and they also have this weird ability to like tell you to your face, like, as a helpful way, that's bad. What are you doing? And I've made it a very clear point to try and, like, if someone like, hey, what do you think? I'm like, I'm going to be honest. Are you sure you want to hear that? I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, you're trying too hard. Really, spandex is not for you. You know, like let's work through what the pros and the cons are, and not that we know either, but I mean, we're very receptive. Like, someone comes up to us, someone we respect, and they're like, Nate, that guitar riff blows boat people. And I'm like, you're right. That is really bad. I'm going to go and crisp that up or change that. You have to be open.
Yeah, but when you're young, when you're in those college years, you come out swinging. You come out swinging because you're so excited about it. I remember the first like major band I had in college. I was, we were playing just like real dirty blues, rock and roll stuff, and it was all about sex then. In terms of what I was thinking about and what all the bands, all those blues rock bands like Zeppelin. It's all. So we put out some profane posters. I mean, there were people. It was like it was bad. But it got us a lot of people to the show. I mean, it worked, but we also got a lot of complaints from city officials. But so Nate, I actually played a gig. It's funny that Halloween's coming up because we played a Halloween gig in Los Alamos 2 years ago. They have like one central, because there's university there, right?
Oh, you're talking about Los Animas, not Los Alamos. So Los Animas is a no-one town. Like, there's no reason for you ever to be there. There's no venue.
Oh, that's where you're from.
Yeah, LAS. Next word, ANIMAS. It means city of the lost or lost souls. Like
city of the lost. That's great.
Yeah, it's literally the first legal hanging in Colorado was in my city.
Nice.
It was the saddest fucking thing. It was the most racist thing that had ever happened. It's terrible. Anyway.
Oh my goodness.
That's all.
All right. So let's take it from there on this.
Anyway.
Okay. Yeah. Now I know the difference.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Sorry.
So no, it's cool because I thought you did say Los Alamos, so it's good that I know not to go where you're talking about your hometown based on what you're talking. So what ages were you guys when you started your instruments? And then we'll move forward. I was just curious when you started playing guitar, Nate, and drums, Eric.
14 is when I started playing guitar.
I started playing percussion in the school band at 6th grade. It's like 11 or so, and then
real early.
Set at 13.
Cool. So you guys had a good kind of thing going in college. I could see the benefits of being a kind of small scene. Big scenes always have their pros too, but like if you're in a small scene, like you said, everyone's coming out. You get to network in a much more kind of condensed, easy area. So I'm sure there were some pros to that at least.
Yeah.
Like that. It gets cliquish, like, oh
yeah, sure,
this or so and so kissed his girlfriend. It's like it kind of gets that. thing.
Okay.
But I mean, that's the whole reason we moved to Denver in the first place. Is like, well, all right, we think that this is something kind of cool. Let's maybe put it in a bigger pond and see what happens there.
And Denver's perfect because it's not too big. It's not like a LA or Nashville or something, but it's big enough that it's like it matters a little bit, you know?
Right, and I think
For sure.
the scene has changed a lot. Like when we were there, it was like a big camaraderie, kind of a smaller scene, but a bigger space. I don't know what it is now. Actually, I haven't been to shows locally.
Yeah, we've for the past few years been on tour so much that it's really hard to just keep up with what's going on in Denver.
And we come home and like there's a list of bands like I've never heard of. These are the bands.
And the last thing I want to do is go to a show when I'm home after coming off tour too. So.
Yeah, I know how you feel there. But I think scenes in general, I think they've almost evaporated completely from what I've seen. I mean, I'm in Austin, so obviously it's known for having a great quote music scene, but it's a different vibe completely. And if you think about, okay, where are the music scenes? Well, I can't think of any really. I think it's kind of a lost thing. Maybe it'll come back hopefully at some point, but everything's so virtual now and online that it's just like one big, you're either going to your show or your band or you're just online on Instagram or Facebook following the bands you like or whatever, you know?
Right.
But so you moved to Denver. Did you guys start in the Whale at the tail end of college or did that not come till when you guys moved to Denver or what?
In the middle of college for me. The band was alive for the last 3 years before we were out.
I had dropped out of college at that time. I was just kind of bumming around Greeley, playing in the band I was in. I think I was 26 or so when we.
And I'm 2 years younger than you, right? So I was 24.
So yeah, we just we kind of started in the Whale as sort of like a side project.
It was almost kind of like a fuck you to our other bands. Like us two can do what these other bands, even though we were like the mean guys at our other bands. So it was like a fuck you to ourselves.
Yeah. But it was like we were just fucking around trying to remember why we like music because our other bands were so stressful and just playing all sorts of weird stuff just to have fun. Like it was like, okay, this is a band to do it. Just we don't want to make it or like have any fans or anything. We just want to fucking play the 2 bars in town.
And just be loud and obnoxious and a little obscene.
Yeah, and we accomplished that goal.
Yeah, it's funny because the two-man lineup is definitely the fuck you lineup. There's no question about it because it's like I was just talking to a guy who he's kind of a good sized name here in Austin and elsewhere, but he kind of came in as kind of his own version of country, lots of different influences, but soon after a few years of like feeling he wasn't getting heard, you know, he had lots of rock and roll roots too. He started a 2-man fuck you band that it developed into a good, you know, a well followed and successful 2-man rock and roll band. That was real, just like scene, you know, smashing guitars and stuff like that. The one time I've done a 2-man thing, it was kind of a fuck you to like not to my bass player who had to drop out for the tour. It wasn't a fuck you to him, but after he dropped that, I was like, well, I could have pretty easily found a stand-in somebody, but I was like, I'd never done a 2-man show, and I was just like, fuck it, let's just do this. It's let's go, man. That's no bullshit, no fat.
Be just the two of you, and like if he messes up, everyone knows. So it pushes you, or if I mess up for that matter, like singing or playing guitar, it's like that sucked. You know, it's like it pushes you as an artist, I think, to hone your craft a little better or to let those mishaps have more of a life in the show. So like if I break a string or something, Eric keeps the drums going and I change out a guitar over the other guitar and it's like it becomes a thing, you know? It's like you can do that stuff.
Yeah, it's funny because everyone always asks us like, why the 2-piece? Why did you choose to be a 2-piece? And it was never even a thought. It was just, let's just fuck around, right? This isn't a real thing. And then our main bands broke up and it was like, well, we kind of like doing this 2-man thing because it's just different.
Yeah.
Like it's just different. It looks weird on stage. It catches people off guard. We like the dynamic we have on stage with just 2 guys. So how can we just make it sound big, make it fill out the sound and keep it with just 2 guys, you know, because instead of making it just like everything else, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's also something to be said as I've saw you guys and I've seen maybe not that many, maybe anywhere from 5 to 8 two-piece bands that are going for the big sound, and I played that role for one tour. But you guys, and when I saw you guys live, it definitely spoke to this. And it's something about like, it brings the audience in a little quicker, I think. It's like if you're a one-man thing, that's a one-man thing, or one girl thing, whatever. It's like everyone knows what that is, unless maybe you're doing the one-man band thing, which is just like, hey, look at this guy or girl. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, these guys putting on a show. If they're good at it, it's pretty entertaining. But it's got its limitations in terms of energy. You know what I mean? Because you're so invested in working on this and then looping this. It's like, but the two-man thing, it's like the audience is like, okay, what are these guys going to do? We're here for these guys. It's almost a vulnerable. And if you're going for the big sound and you're pulling it off like you guys do so well, I don't know. I guess there's different ways to perceive it, and you guys would have a lot more. What's that?
It's very polarizing, though. We've had people come up to me like, I hate two-man bands specifically because of, and they list like the Black Keys or bands that are maybe going for more of a lo-fi sound. And when we saw you two guys come out, we thought you guys were the guitar tech and the drum tech. And then you sat down and started fucking playing, and it like pissed me off because I didn't want that, So I'm like, why are you talking about that? and they're like, well, I actually like it now. Yeah. But it's weird how people have a mindset of what they think a two-person or a one-man, one-woman band is. It's like, oh, they're going to be a singer-songwriter, and then they come out and they play like Pussifer stuff, and you're just like, Jesus, so what the hell was that? And so it's weird, Even a three-man band, like, why is two-man band a genre and not like three-man band? Like, oh, you're a two-man band, therefore you play this.
Yeah, we'll be on tour, and the venue will book the openers for us, and they'll all be two pieces. And it's like, it's not a genre.
It's not a genre.
That's interesting. Yeah, you guys probably have to deal with all kinds of stuff other people don't know about. But yeah, I mean, three-piece, you're right, it's not a genre, but it is its own thing, because you hear the word three-piece, and it's like, it's different than once you hit 4 and over, you're just a band. But there is also, there is something to a three-piece as well, and obviously a two-piece is even broken down. So I guess I keep getting these good questions for you guys. So real quick technical question, just because I'm interested in it. What do you guys do? Because I didn't notice it when because I was getting ready to play, blah, blah, blah. What do you guys do to fill out the bottom and bottom mids in your show? Do you use some sort of board? I don't remember seeing any board. I think you're raw acoustic drums. And then Nate, are you hitting any pedals that kind of fill in the bottom end a little bit?
So I tune weird, and I split my signal from the guitar, and I have bass pedals and guitar pedals. I don't know if you remember, I was dancing around a lot, trying to hit pedals on and off and doing that kind of low end. And then I run 2 amplifiers. One is all the bright top treble guitar tone, and one is just low bass tone. The idea is not a new idea, but it comes from, like, how bagpipes work, where you have the high resonator and then the low is just a brrr. It's not even a note.
Right.
Your brain fills it in that they're playing together and that they're melodically the same. Same thing with the bass amp. It's not like when we come to venues, like big venues, that people have like, this is 3,000 cap, and like, what is this bass? It's just like a fart noise. I'm like, trust me, just mix it low, and it will match with the guitar, and your brain's gonna fill it in.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like it's playing through a sub almost.
Right. It's just a low non-nodal, like you have a little attack in it, but not really. I remember we were playing at the Fillmore opening for the Descendants, and they're like, play the bass thing, I guess. And I'm like, the guy's like, it's so muddy. We're like, just trust us. Like, it's like, well, we don't want the note to be defined. It used to be super just like muffled almost. And he's like, okay, whatever. And then he's like, we check the guitar, and he's like, play them together. And the sound guy just like a light bulb. He's like, he like stops. He's like, I get it. He's like, it works perfectly. It's awesome. I don't know how no one's done this.
Yeah.
I'm like,
but the sound engineer's temptation is to just like put the treble up, make sure you can hear the attack on the bass. And we're like,
don't do that.
Yeah. And it's
just low mud.
It's a never ending struggle between us and a sound engineer. Just be like, just fucking do what I say.
Well, everyone knows what sound people are like. They're either super nice and super good, or they're the person you just described. We've all dealt with that person.
Well,
Nate, that's pretty. Go ahead.
Sorry. I actually am fine with if a sound guy's just trying to understand the sound. He's like, I don't get it. Right. Most of the time it's just like, whatever, fucking the soundboard's on.
Right.
I'll be at the bar.
The microphone's not even at the cabinet. It's on the floor. It's just like, yeah, it sounds good. I'm like, it's not, you're not miking anything.
Yeah.
We played a place in Salt Lake City and I was literally knocking microphones over. He's like trying to put it back. I'm like, the microphone was going to the side of the shell of his, it wasn't even on the head. It was like not even doing anything. I'm like, fuck these mics on this place.
One of the worst. That's a story for a different.
Well, that's pretty much when I did the 2-man thing. That's pretty much the setup I did, and I loved it. It was just A-B'd it or A-Wide it or whatever it is, A-B, and then had a small bass amp, and just turned it low volume and let it kind of through. And the only limitation I found on it was just I couldn't solo. I'm used to soloing a lot, so I couldn't do that as well. I could still rock riffs and shit, but there is something really fun and magical in that full sound you get from a low end and a high end sound pumping up. Like when I'd play power chords kind of work. I'm sure you noticed that. I don't know about 6 strings, then it gets real muddy.
It's best because you have that full dynamic of like if it's an open A or open whatever the fuck. It sounds like, oh my God, this sounds so awesome.
Yeah.
You made a good point.
No.
I don't solo. If you look at any of our music, it's just riffs on another riff, right, next to a riff, beside a riff, on top of a riff.
I've seen a couple bands that, and it's a 2-man thing, and the leader can pull off the solo while maintaining the rhythm. And I don't know if there's loops going on. Everyone's got their own kind of setup with that kind of thing. But anyway, that's kind of what I thought you guys were doing with it. So to kind of go back a little bit and kind of round out the In the Whale, middle years, you guys probably took a couple, 2, 3. How long has that been? How long has the band been together?
9
decade?
Years.
9 years. So you guys probably took a couple years to kind of, like you said, just
I would say like
eat this.
Yeah. I would say the first 2 years were like real experimental. Like we did a lot of stuff with no looping anything, but we would do stuff where samples, like bird noises for some fucking reason, or like a siren noise, just like randomly. No lyrics in some songs. It's just like we didn't know what we were doing. Just chaos.
Yeah.
We had this like idea. We recorded a bunch of instrumental songs, and we were gonna release the Pro Tools, release the stems, and like put it out for people to remix. That never came to fruition. And then we were like,
we had a whole 5 songs or something.
Yeah, we had this whole. We were just
all over the map.
Yeah,
we didn't know what we were doing. It's like, well, this is fun.
Sure.
Those 2 years I sang is like figuring out like what is going on. Everyone during the time we were doing this is like Mumford and Sons was like hot shit. You know what I mean? Or the Decemberists were. We're like, fuck that. We're going the opposite. Let's get as loud and as aggressive as possible.
And so when we moved to Denver, it was like, I think we have some kind of dynamic. So we sort of like honed it in, recorded first EP with our great producer named Joey Barba, who's now in LA, but then he was in Colorado at Colorado Sound. And it was kind of off to the races, just fucking pound the pavement, play any show that's offered to us, go to every show, go to every party, fucking just make our
We had a lot
known.
of people like that were Denver kids in the Denver scene that kind of did not like us because we were considered like greely. And we came in and we were just like, we lived in Denver, but we were like everywhere. We were always handing out flyers at shows. We were literally going to every fucking show.
Because at that point, it's just about name recognition.
Right.
It was just like, just get our name on the fucking posters. People keep continuing to see our name on posters. So, yeah.
And that's a good approach. And you guys, that reads. I mean, that reads like you guys. You can tell just when I play with you guys, and then as soon as you get a load of like the social media side, you can tell that you're those guys, and that's a great way to do it. I don't think that's maybe one thing I wasn't as good at early on, was just getting there, like you said, be seen. I mean, that's so crucial. I think when we played with you guys, we had some family friends who live in Seattle. No, Portland, who were like, "Oh, we love those guys." We're like, "Oh, you know these guys?" We didn't even know these guys at the time because we're coming from Texas. So, but yeah, you guys read like that kind of operation for sure, and I think you guys probably still stay strong to that in different ways. But
there's a genuineness, like being yourself and not like if that's not your personality. We were just lucky that both he and I are like these guys. Like put the pamphlet in your shirt pocket and like have a nice day. We're those kind of guys.
Also, it was like really about what can we do to make like not only get your attention but sort of create buzz. You know what I mean? So like
we did all sorts of weird stuff.
If it was like, there's some festival or whatever, some local festival, and my friend's playing, one of the big stages, like, hey, can I come play tambourine for you guys on a song? And they go, yeah, sure. And then I'll come out in my underwear.
Right. We'd play tambourine and then.
One, also just to be obnoxious, but also some people go, did you see what fucking Eric from In the Whale did?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like the name is in your fucking mouth, just that kind of thing.
We did that a lot for the first couple of years. And then, we don't have to do anything like that now, but we still do it like social media, do fun things and stuff. But
yeah, you guys have a good sense of humor, man, for sure. You're hilarious dudes. So when did you guys start hitting the road real hard?
Well, we were down in Denver for, I think, maybe 2 years, where we really started to get some buzz and sold out our first show. And I want to say 2012.
And then we had
the CD release show for Cake, the first
right.
EP. And then we picked up some management, local guys, and sold out the second show about 8 months later. And that's when it was kind of like, all right, we don't want to plateau here, so let's try to get
right
around to all these other markets.
We didn't want to be like the other local bands that were like just playing to their same friends and that kind of thing. It's like I feel like there's a safety net there. If you go like 50 miles anywhere, it's like no one knows who the fuck you are. Yeah. So it was kind of a humbling experience to do it, but it's like he and I are just dumb enough to try it. So,
yeah. And our first tour was going down to South by Southwest.
Right.
I
think we only did 3 shows total, and then like one South by.
4. Yeah, and then South by, which was like we played like we did Red Gorilla. We didn't do South.
Oh, that was so.
Yeah,
you're in Austin.
We played like 4 shows.
How was it? Was it real bad?
It's South by Southwest.
Yeah, people have different experiences. It's like you can play a few good shows and you play a few bad ones. But I always felt for bands coming into town, unless they were one of the few that just had killer shows lined up and it was all red carpet or some version of that. Because otherwise, it sucks, man. It's like we got to deal with so much bullshit.
We've done it 4 years, I think, and 1 year we had an official showcase that went really well. That was a really great show, and actually, we got our entertainment lawyer from that show, so that was great.
Right.
The other times we played, we've done like, okay, we're doing 2 shows this year, or we're doing like 6 shows this year. They're always like, there's always like a ton of people.
If they're all drunk, no one knows who you are.
Yeah, exactly. If you're on 6, it's like, no matter when you play, there's going to be a bunch of people there. But they're all hammered. They're never going to remember you.
Right.
They're not going to buy your merch. And they've also seen, 35 artists that day. So it's like, yeah, it's brutal.
It's the epitome of oversaturation. If you're on that kind of strip, it's like you described it perfectly. Yeah, they won't buy your merch, but they'll have no problem trying to steal it.
Yeah,
let's just
no parking. They don't
just free.
There's no money. It's just like, man, we have a friend named Ben Roy who's a comedian. He does South by Southwest comedy, but he also has another band that was playing the same time. So he was there for the interactive week doing comedy. So he got paid, and they put him up in like a really nice hotel room and stuff.
Treated him nice.
Yeah, and he said once that week was over and the music week started, all that just disappeared. He was staying on his friend's couch and not getting paid.
Yeah, we.
That's Yeah. Before this year obviously got canceled, and then the year before that, I think I had 1 or 2 shows lined up, and I actually broke my toe like the week before, so I was glad I didn't have much going on that week because it was tough to get around. the year or two before that, I had some of my bigger years there, but that was just, it had just been accumulating, and we had albums coming out, so it was okay. But even then, I was like, oh, this is going off the anyway. But okay, so you guys are on the road. How long has it been now for you guys? About like of the heavy road stuff, 6 years, 7 years?
About that.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, and I've done quite a bit of road stuff too, not quite as much as you guys, but I know how after you do it for years, and it's certainly really fun to play, and there's lots of fun parts, and there's downers, blah blah blah. But after that many years and grinding, are you guys still? Obviously, your hard work was about to pan out for you in a number of ways. Unfortunately, COVID compromised that. But were you guys still maintaining the same passion for the lifestyle and the I know you obviously have fun on stage, that goes without question, but how was the road treating you after 6-7 years? You still loving it, or is it getting a little bit tiring, or what?
It's tiring, but for me personally, and I can only say for me, it was good, except when there was like a string of like 3 bad shows.
Yeah.
Then it was just like,
yeah.
Then it was just like, oh God. And then luckily then the 4th show would be a good one. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it gets hard in our position where we were going so much to have to keep fighting people for money. It's like, this is the deal. There's people here for us. They're buying your drinks. It was just pay me. Like the contract said, just pay me.
Yeah. I think really
gets tiring.
It comes down to just like not like there was a couple years a while back where it was too fucking much. Where it was like, I think if we keep it around between 1 and 150 shows a year is kind of perfect for us, and just not overload ourselves with back to back tours. If we get something really good, then you gotta have to do it, but just not killing ourselves, especially to play, sometimes some fucking dive bar where no one to a bunch of bar regulars.
Right.
It's like, don't kill yourself for that. It's like, yes, come home, fucking spend the time, just take breaks, man.
It was hard for that minute where Eric was talking about, because we switched management, and in between then we had to keep going. But it was like all the past connections that we were working with were kind of like, well, we only work with so-and-so, and we're like trying to keep the new guy up to speed, and he's doing his best, and then also trying to keep coins in the copper, like trying to keep shit rolling. It was, how many months did we take off? Like 9 months?
Yeah,
we just stopped.
There was 1 year, I think it was
didn't
2015.
talk to each other.
Yeah, we just took 9 months because it's just you just gotta
Totally.
recharge the battery.
Totally. Yeah. When you first start, you just eat it up. You're ready to play all the shows. You want to do the Herculean, routing, whatever. You're like, let's go. It's game time. I love it. It's great. And then after a few, what's that?
And I think you should.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. You take pride in it. You love it. You like the feeling of being exhausted. You can kind of, it's a good feeling in some ways. And then you get to that point after a chunk of years where it's like those Monday, Tuesday shows with hardly anybody there. And it's like your mindset is in the right place. Like, well, if we're out on the road, we might as well go play it. But then that starts to, it's like, no, this is just a waste. This is a waste of resources.
Yeah. At what cost?
Right. Exactly. It's just so much better to take a night off, chill in the hotel or in your friend's place or whatever. It's just like, so yeah, because I was hitting that point. What's that?
It's worth losing.
Yeah, because it's not as much usually. We're not passing up the good paying gigs. We're passing up the shitbirds. And I mean, for me, one of the big changing things is when my daughter was born. Like it didn't really affect it that much when she was like under 2.5. But then when she became like 2.5, she starts becoming like a real person. That's when like those bad show stretches that you're talking about. That's when it really was like, oh man, this sucks balls. It's like, this is, usually there's a good trade-off. Like you do 1 or 2 bad ones, or like that good one's coming Friday. We know that's going to be a good show. So let's just hang in there. But then when you're missing your daughter and you guys been on the road together to one other guy for 5 years, and it's like, Yeah, I totally know what you're talking about there. But yeah, it's I wonder. You guys seem to get along real well. You seem to be on like the same wavelengths in a lot of ways. Like you guys were saying about you're the same guy, and that you both like to. You said put the pamphlet in people's pockets, but I know it's clear what you mean by that. You guys are both outgoing, real good humor guys. Have you guys had, aside from that break you took, which sounded necessary and probably was a healthy thing, have you guys had, you guys play aggressive music. Have you guys had any aggressive altercations over the years that are, some spicy details in that department? Or you guys keep it pretty cool?
I jumped on stage.
Oh,
I've been attacked a few times. A lady in Canada took a microphone and chipped my tooth.
No one ever attacks me. It's great.
Yeah, it's always me. I don't know.
You have a shield.
I guess
you got a shield around you.
But I'm not a little guy. I'm like 6'2", 200 pounds.
Fucking
like,
farm.
Yeah.
Corn-fed
and
motherfucker. They should attack me. I'm a fucking terrible fighter. Nate can kick the shit out of someone.
I'm like, they're coming at me, and I'm like, all right.
There was one time. Here's a great story. We were playing with Agent Orange at this place in Las Vegas called the Dive Bar.
Oh.
I shouldn't have named the fucking place. Oh well. Can you bleep that out, or is it live?
Nope. Just kidding. I can bleep it out if you want. I give it.
Yeah. Just bleep out the name of the bar if you don't mind. In Vegas, bars are 24 hours. So, this they like to run late, right? So this was a classic punk rock show where it's like
12 bands.
Yeah, I think it was 6 that night.
Yeah, it's some stupid.
So we're number 5 out of 6
because we're on tour with Agent Orange.
Yeah, Agent Orange goes on at like midnight or so. So we played at like around 11:15 or so, and we got a long drive the next day, and so we're waiting to get paid. We're talking about like 1:30 a.m. or so. Waiting around, we load everything, every piece of gear, load everything up. We're just waiting, standing at the bar. The bartender's like, the owner pays you, but he went to go take his wife home, so he should be back. Like, okay,
he's not coming back.
Yeah, well,
we know that he's not coming back.
We know he's not coming back. We're just waiting, and it gets to be like 4 a.m. We have to leave at probably 8, and so. Thank God. I feel bad for this bartender, but thank God he got pissed off. He was like, you know what? Fuck him. Let me see the contract. And for some reason, I happened to have a printed one. Gave it to him. He was like, fine. He just took it right out of the fucking register. He just gave us our money, and we left.
Yeah. We're gonna write a book at some point. There's so many good stories that are just like from bed bugs to like I don't know, just terrible things. Just blown engines.
We have altercations with sound guys a lot.
Yeah.
So we don't want to, but we do.
What about you? What about each other? You guys ever had stuff between each other?
A couple times.
Yeah, but we're usually pretty good at it. Like,
a couple times, yeah.
It's usually like if we have
serves a purpose. Yeah.
Like he knows me so well, he's like, what's wrong there, bud? What's wrong, Skip? And I'm like, I didn't like the way you did that.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like we've just been together for so long. It's like, hey man, you fucking breathe weird. Get away! It's like I don't like the way you move, walk.
Right. Can you look at me one time?
Yeah. Yeah. I think having a mutual respect for each other.
Yeah.
And just reminding yourself of that, and understanding that we're both in our 30s, that we're not going to change.
Right.
So it's just like, all right. Nate does this annoying thing. He's never going to stop doing that. So do you want to quit the band or just deal with it? You know what I mean?
I do this one thing, and it's my family that does it too. Whenever I'm almost done with a sandwich, I'll go like this. I'll in my brain, I'm weighing how much left in my mind without looking at it, but I just do this weird thing.
It's fucking weird, dude. His cousins do it.
We all do it.
His siblings do it. It's so weird.
That's funny.
It's like,
that's funny.
It's really strange, but there's like things Eric does, whatever. But
yeah, man, when you're on the road and you're in the car together and you're sharing a bathroom every night and you're in the same room, hotel room or house, it's like, man, that's weird. It's a weird thing, man. It's like you got to. Yeah, it's very unusual. It's not even close to being married. It's not even close to being on a vacation with friends. It's a totally different thing. It's like,
can I ask you how many people are like, hey, how was your vacation when you go on tour? How many fucking people tell you that shit?
Go fuck yourself.
How many fucking times you just want to just like?
Yeah, I had a great vacation in Des Moines, Iowa.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I had 2 hours of sleep.
At my wedding, actually, Nate was a groomsman, and he gave a little speech, and he said, he was like, told my wife, he's like, I've been with Eric longer than you have.
Eric and I have been closer and together longer than you guys have.
It's true. It's a very unique situation. So what, to kind of round things out here, guys, it sucks that you guys had, this shitty corona come on through. Kind of sucks for everybody in the fucking industry right now. It's pretty fucked up. So what do you guys have planned for yourselves for the next, let's say, 6 months or a year? Are you looking at a specific date to get back on the road? And do you have any kind of macro ideas about the industry as a whole? You guys have been in the industry. You've been, full tilt with it for a decade. Where do you see yourselves going, and where do you see the industry going in the near and middle future here?
I really have no idea, to be honest. I really, in the future, I think there's probably going to be a lot more live streams going on. Definitely. I don't know, man. So much of our appeal is live, so I really want to get back to playing live and playing in a room with people. But because we got President Fuckface in the office, in the White House, all this is up to the states. So every state's come totally different regulations, totally different things. So it's going to be really hard to like tour, and see like, okay, we can do it in California, but we can't do Arizona. So we have to skip Arizona and do, we just got to, once we can get the country all unified in this, and these are the regulations, I feel like it's going to be really tough to get back out there on the road because every state's so different,
I feel like a lot of the industry needed to be shook.
Yeah,
a little bit. This is a lot of it, but I feel like there was kind of this hierarchy that was, just seeing it from either the promoter side or the booking agent side or the managerial side, where there has this pecking order that's it's not good. It's not healthy. And I feel like maybe kind of a cleaning house is maybe something good. I also feel like what we're going to see in the future is all those people that are losing their jobs are going to be independent agents or independent managers, not with an affiliated like Live Nation or AEG or whatever. It'll be kind of their own thing. I feel like that's going to be a new market. I feel like what they had with promoters back when punk, like the Descendants and the Dead Kennedys and bands like that were like at their premium, you're gonna have a lot of independent promoters that right now they've always existed, but I think they're going to be taking a larger step forward when things open. I also think for us, we have been really guarded on not jumping the gun too soon. Like there was a time when people were like, August, shows are going to be going. Yeah. It's going to be happening. He and I literally looked at each other like, no fucking way.
Yeah, no way.
There's no fucking way. Like we started playing the game and having our agent feel the waters and see what's going on. But it's like, it was clear that that's not happening. So right now, we're looking at larger bands to see when they're announcing like European tours next year or later, and just kind of keeping that as a pin. And just, for us, it's easier to book something quick than it would be them. So kind of using them as a litmus test to figure out where the water is for us.
Yeah, I think also going back to what you were saying, Nate, about the industry, like it might be a good thing, when all these guys are branching out on their own, because I think maybe getting an email with a certain agency's letterhead won't necessarily mean as much anymore. If this agent goes solo and ends up representing some heavy hitting acts, it's like, that might not matter so much anymore. Playing a certain venue or doing a show with a certain person or production company or whatever.
I'll tell you that the money has been better the one show that we have done that was like a social distancing show where they didn't take house costs and they cut out all the fat. And it was just like, there's no merch percentage. They're not taking or robbing us. It was like, this is how shows should be. It's like we brought people in, they paid the ticket. We got a larger chunk of the ticket. Plus we got all of our merch. You got your liquor sales. It's like, you made good money. We made good money for the first time ever in a long time where we're not having to find these percentages. I think it's good. I mean, shitty. But
Yeah. I think
if people could just mosh, it'd be perfect.
Yeah, instead of having to sit at your table.
That might be a while before moshing. But if anyone's gonna mosh, it's the people who mosh. They're not gonna listen to people who say don't mosh. So
but then it gets shut down by security.
There you go. But yeah, I mean, it's timetable wise, it's certainly unclear. I think next summer is feasible, optimistic at the same time. Back to normal, who knows? But just to kind of elaborate more on, just because I'm interested, you guys have your own, kind of perspective, but I'm interested in a little bit more of the hierarchy you guys are talking about in terms of, letting it burn a little bit mentality. What exactly do you see out there that you don't like or that you're affected by? Obviously, you said the percentages that are taken, and that's,
right,
always part of the game for the, for the music business. But what do you mean exactly by the hierarchy you want to see kind of blown up or whatever?
There is a symbiotic relationship between the artists and the people that help the artists get to shows. I.e., you may have a venue, but guess what? We found out we don't need your venue. We could do it live stream. We don't need you. Not that I'm saying that for In the Whale, that's our demographic, because we get along well, but I'm seeing it from other people's perspective. I'm seeing it from other bands that I know that are like, I'm doing better without it and not having to pay you this amount, and I'm doing really well.
Yeah. So say, some companies giving, nickel and diming you. It's like, I can live stream this, sell my merch online. So it's sort of this wake up call, like not necessarily to say, fuck you, I'll never play your venue, but also like, hey, there's some leverage here now. You know what I'm saying? We know that people are willing to come see us on a live stream. So get your shit together,
Yeah, my overhead was $300. Compared to $1,500 that you're charging us for the room cost, plus the sound person, which should be paid, but that should have been out of the room cost. And
so all these artists are saying we can live stream, we can do all this other stuff, So if you don't play ball, then you're done, And hopefully it doesn't go the way of what labels are doing and they just die out because we love playing live.
Yeah, I mean, we love the venues and we love that. I just hope that there's like I said before, it's not my perspective that we're seeing directly, but I'm hearing it through other people. They're like, let them burn. And I'm like, well, I guess I see your point of view.
Yeah.
But
the live stream is interesting. I don't know if it's sustainable in terms of what we as artists need and what the fans need. I think that middleman is it's always been essential with the arts. So, but it's the middleman in music. There's a lot of great figures. There's a lot of shady figures. There's a lot of highway robbery. Obviously, we got to deal with it all the time. But yeah, the venues are an interesting thing because you have these people who invest their money, their time, their lives in setting up shop and making somewhere where the bands and the music can come, the bands and the fans can come together. And a lot will be wiped out from this. A lot already have, a lot more will be. And then it's a question of, are those same people going to get back in the game? Are they going to say, fuck it? Are they going to be...
A lot of people are jaded at this point.
Yeah, of course.
Those are the ones that are necessarily like, I'm just doing it because I started it. It was a passion at first and now it's not. It's like...
Yeah, I really hope that a lot of these independent venues that have had to shut down or whatever can be replaced or they can start new ones. Because what I don't want is to just have what's left over is all these giant conglomerate places that aren't going to, haggle at all, aren't going to give you any room at all.
I feel like it will open those doors.
Yeah, I think you're right. I hope so.
The other problem I think is where do you see the most music scenes is the cooler cities, right? And all the cooler cities, these places that are closing down, the Denvers, the Austins. I mean, I guess Cali there's a migration out of California, and I don't know exactly what's going up in Seattle and Portland. That seems to be getting pretty crazy up there. New York is obviously falling apart. I think Nashville's doing okay, whatever. But, with all these cool cities that are the hotspots for music, what happens with these places shut down is somebody's coming in there to snap up that real estate as fast as they can. So we'll see. I don't know if smaller cities will become hubs. I don't know.
I think
I hope so.
Yeah, I think so.
I hope so, because we do really well in those smaller cities.
Yeah, we do.
We've struggled in places like in New York City and LA
Sure.
and Chicago. Places like Fort Worth, Texas, we fucking destroy. You know what I mean? Places like Cheyenne, Wyoming, we kill. And you pull into Chicago on any given night, who knows who's playing? There's always competition. It's like, man, it's tough. So if that happens, we could really thrive.
It's a good point. Yeah, the big cities are always tough nuts to crack, no doubt about it. Well, cool, dudes. I wish you guys the best. I'm so sorry for the shit storm you've had to face, especially with such a big year.
We're all facing it.
You guys are tough customers, and you guys are good people, so you guys will be all right, I can tell. But yeah, man, you guys keep fighting the good fight, and hope to see you guys out on the road some other time soon. And thank you for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. You guys take care.